So today I'm going to be taking a look at the Amazfit GTS. I'll be giving an in-depth overview of how I found it the past couple of weeks and telling you whether or not this is a watch worth buying. Welcome back to another episode of Stu's Reviews. As always, if you find today's video helpful in any way, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and then hit that notification bell, because I'll be doing a bunch of comparison videos against this and the GTR, and also taking a look at this and the Amazfit BIP. Those are coming up over the next few weeks, so stay tuned for those, and by hitting that notification bell, you'll find out about those first. Moving on, before we begin, let's dive straight in and take a look at the specs. The GTS has some great specs for such a small device. Despite being just 24.8 grams, it manages to accommodate a 6-axis accelerometer, geomagnetic sensor, air pressure sensor, ambient light sensor, and Amazfit's BioTracker system inside it. These sensors work incredibly well together and provide an overall accurate health reading from the device. All this is waterproof to a submergible resistance of 50 meters. The internal battery will last approximately 2 weeks on a normal charge, or over a month with minimal use, which is partly down to the incredible 1.65-inch AMOLED display, which has a pixel density of 341 pixels per inch. This truly is one of the nicest looking devices Amazfit has made. Now I want to talk about the appearance first. This is so similar to the Amazfit BIP. Those of you that have been watching the channel for a very long time may have seen my review of the Amazfit BIP. Out of interest, if you did originally come to the channel and subscribed on that Amazfit BIP review, I'd love to know, so let me know in the comments below. Although they don't name this as the successor to the BIP, it's quite clear that they've taken a lot of inspiration from the BIP in this device. Now, the appearance is a little bit different, especially this one, because this is gold. Now, in the old BIP, they only did a few different colours. I think it was orange, green, white, and black. And I think they brought out a grey and a pink, possibly a blue, I don't know. But they were all quite childish, plasticky colours. The Amazfit GTS you can now get in this kind of stainless steel chromed finish. You can also get similar sort of colours to the Amazfit BIP, which do look nice, but I've always preferred a slightly classic appearance with that kind of chromed stainless steel finish. I've chosen gold. However, there's been a bit of an argument here in the studio. We can't work out whether this is gold or rose gold. Now, Amazfit also do a rose gold version of this, so you can't really argue that this is gold. But if we compare it to something that is actually known to be gold, such as this ring, you can quite clearly see that it's not the same shade. So the gold one is ever so slightly rose. Doesn't bother me too much, but some people it might, and it's worth considering that if you are looking to buy the gold one. Now also I'd like to note that this is not the strap that comes with this watch. The strap that came with this was simply a kind of off-white silicone style strap. Nothing particularly special, but I didn't like it, so I decided to get rid of it. This thing is also super thin. I mean, if we measure the entire width here, we're looking at like about 11 millimeters. The entire width of that is 11 millimeters, so it is tiny. It is much smaller than the GTR, which I took a look at a couple of weeks ago. Some of you may prefer that, some of you may not. It's also worth noting that the strap is slightly smaller as well. This takes a 20mm strap, whereas the GTR takes a 22mm strap. So overall, on your wrist, it does look a lot smaller. And with that square form factor, again, it makes it slimmer, smaller, sleeker. So if you have smaller wrists, this is going to suit you. But it's a personal preference thing. You may have massive wrists and like wearing smaller watches, or you may have tiny wrists and like wearing huge watches. It is merely a fashion choice. In my case, I think the size is very nice. It's almost perfect, I'd say. It's small enough to not get in the way of general things, but big enough to actually stand out and look good as a fashion item. One thing I did criticise the GTR on was the fact that it was huge and uncomfortable to wear at night. This is small enough, I feel, to wear at night without being uncomfortable, and I've had no issues wearing it so far at night as well as in the day, so that it can track my sleep. the last thing I want to touch on appearance is the screen, because the screen is phenomenal. It is truly beautiful. I mean, that OLED display, it just absolutely pops. All those vibrant colours just look phenomenal, and I have been blown away by the screen on this. Yes, it's not round like some of the other options you can buy out there, and including some of the Amazfit range as well. But that square display people like, and because it's OLED, it doesn't necessarily look square, because it just lights up the sections on the screen that it needs to light up and keeps the other sections dark, which makes the whole thing blend in and look brilliant. Honestly, I cannot tell you how nice this looks. And I probably can't really show you over camera either, but when you first glimpse this display, your jaw will drop, because it's great. Honestly, it's really cool. As for the functionality, this fits in the same as any other Amazfit device. It's a third-party smartwatch, so you're not going to get 100% integration with every single phone. But what it does do, it does remarkably well. The brand new ability to customize the widgets on the standard watch faces is a really, really nice touch, and not something that I've seen from Amazfit before. But obviously, being third party, you can't really do a great deal with these, so you can't do things like put messaging and stuff like that on it. However, they've added a few little buttons such as music control, steps, power, so it is really quite customizable. And I just love the fact they've done that. It's just a nice little extra touch to make their watches a little bit smarter. The actual interface itself, when you're interacting with the watch, is relatively straightforward. Swiping up from the bottom, you get access to pretty much all the sort of standard apps you'd expect from a third-party smartwatch, such as notifications and sort of your status throughout the day. Generally speaking, it's pretty average from that respect, and unfortunately, you cannot install third-party applications. The notifications are quite extensive as well on this, which I quite like. You can go into the details, and you can also see pretty much an entire message at a glance on your wrist. So that's something that I really like as well. But overall, the interface is very, very straightforward. Now, something that is a little bit different on this is that it's only got one button, very much like the Amazfit Bip. A little criticism here is that you can program this button to do a few different things when you hold it. So I've programmed it so that when you hold it, it goes onto my notifications. Now, you can do things like exercise instead, for example. So if you do use this primarily for health and fitness, that's a little quick way of accessing it. But let's say I did put fitness as a shortcut on this button. It's not very straightforward to get to notifications, unlike some of the other Amazfit devices. On the other ones, you'd either swipe down or swipe up. On this, that's not the case. Because it's only got one button, swiping up accesses the applications. And then you have to tap on notifications to go into that. That's not too bad, but if you're doing that on a regular basis, it gets to be a bit of a rigmarole to access your notifications. So if you're watching this Amazfit, make sure that's changed in the software. The thing I'd say about the functionality is, overall, this has been incredibly reliable. The notifications have worked seamlessly, the weather's worked seamlessly, everything has worked phenomenally, including things like the music playback, where you can skip and play and pause music. It has worked perfectly. There is only one thing that didn't work as planned or as hoped, and that was the GPS inside this watch. Now, I went for a walk recently to test out the GPS accuracy.
Why is it always raining when I come for a walk to test the GPS and tracking abilities of these devices? I mean, it's not just raining, it's literally turned the road into a river. You see, I'm getting mixed up. Have a look at this. Ridiculous. Well, at least I know it's waterproof. I can be thankful for that.
At the beginning and end of that walk, it wasn't 100% accurate because I was walking under trees and in a valley, so it couldn't accurately connect to the GPS satellites for an accurate location. But for the rest of the walk, it did rather well. Now, I know a lot of you have been commenting on the fact that sometimes the GPS on the Amazfit devices aren't 100% accurate. The thing that I would say to you is set your expectations correctly, because this thing is tiny. If you want pinpoint accuracy GPS, you're going to need something that is this big slapped on your wrist. So, My advice is, if you have to pinpoint GPS, don't get one of these. Now this uses Amazfit's native app, unlike the Bip which uses Xiaomi's Mi Fit app. To touch on a few details about the app for those that might not have seen it before, it is very minimalistic, it's very, very straightforward. There's nothing too fancy about it, but it does the job very, very well. And the thing I like the most about it is the fact that in some of the settings, such as the sleep setting, it gives you further information about your sleep and how to improve it. So overall, the app is very straightforward, but at the same time extremely functional and works very, very well. Also, this is where you can customize some of the things on the watch as well. And I would say, if you don't like the faces that are on the watch, which is like one of 2 faces, you can download further watch faces through this as well from online. And there are hundreds and hundreds of different watch faces. Some are fantastic, some are not. The one thing I would say about these extra faces are that they don't have widget customization, or at least I haven't come across them that have widget customization, which is why I really like the stock faces on here, because it allows me to customize those widgets. Now, talking about the cost, this is one of Amazfit's more expensive options. Now, the gold one that I've got, I actually ended up paying about 170 quid for it, because they are so hard to find at the moment in stock. I had it ordered on GearBest for about 2 months and they hadn't shipped it. So that'll be the last thing I ever order from GearBest. So what I did was I cancelled the order and I managed to find someone on eBay, believe it or not, selling this gold one. But for those of you that don't want the gold and want some of the other colours available, then actually you can get them on Amazon for around, I think, 120 quid. So actually, it's pretty cheap on Amazon. You get it the next day and hey presto, you've got your Amazfit GTS. But if you want something like this, it's going to take a little bit longer and a bit more hard work trying to find it. Now the strap, just in case you're wondering as well, I found that on Amazon, and as usual I'll leave a link in the description below to both the watch and the strap in case you're interested. You can take a look at them and see what you think. But the real question is, what do I think? Is this a good smartwatch? I can say quite easily that I have loved using this smartwatch. It is a beautiful, beautiful piece of kit. And the fact it comes in sort of gold, that is my style. I love gold. I don't particularly like silver that much. It's better than sort of plastic, but I prefer gold. So for me, this suits my style perfectly. Now, yes, it doesn't look like a normal timepiece would. So it's not round. But that's not massively a big issue for me. I do like the round style. This definitely looks a lot more like current competitors and current smartwatches. There are many others out there with this square form factor. Is that right for me? Well, I don't know. Is the fact I can get it in gold, does that outweigh it? I don't know, but do you know what? It's a perfect size for me. It's small enough to not get in the way and to almost not notice it on my wrist, but it's big enough to stand out, like I said earlier. So for me, the whole style and aesthetic of this watch is fantastic, and it has been such a good and solid, simple experience, and I've loved every second of it. So is this a watch that is going to enter my cycle of watches that I wear on a regular basis? 100%. So should you buy one of these yourself? Do you know what? All I can say for certain is that if you bought one, you will not be disappointed. It is a brilliant device and it's just a good solid addition from Amazfit. The added bonus of being able to customize widgets on the watch face as is, it just is really functional, and it's probably one of the most functional devices that they've brought out, I would say. Yes, it's got a couple of little tiny problems that I think could be changed. Potentially the accuracy of the GPS doesn't always 100% meet expectations, and the fact that notification access is a bit finicky if you don't program it on this button here. Putting those aside, this is a solid smartwatch, and I think it looks great. So should you buy one? Well, if you haven't got a smartwatch, this is a good choice. And if you already have a smartwatch, this is also a fantastic watch to add to that collection. And that concludes today's review. If you liked today's video, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. And as I said, hit that notification bell as well, because I will be doing some comparison videos between this and the GTR, and also this and the Amazfit Bip. because I can almost hear you screaming the question, do I think this is better than the Amazfit Bip or not? You'll have to wait till that comparison video. Other than that, a massive thanks to all my patrons. You guys are incredible and you make Stu's Reviews. So without you, I couldn't do this. So massive, massive thanks. And I'll see you back for another episode of Stu's Reviews soon.